Ladies and gentlemen, let me break something down for you tonight. Ladies and gentlemen, let me break something down for you tonight. You fall in love the way women do. You call my fall. Ladies and gentlemen, let me break something down for you tonight. Ladies and gentlemen, we fall in love the way women do. Just like you fall in love with somebody, just like you've fallen under zero. Ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you something straight from the heart, because this is something people always misunderstand about men. We get asked all the time, Steve, how do men really fall in love? And I always got to start with this truth. For men, attraction is always the very first stage. Before anything else, before he knows how kind you are, how smart you are, or how big your heart is, that man is looking with his eye. That's just how God wired us. We are visual creatures. That's not disrespectful. That's not shallow. That's reality. A man can be walking into a room filled with people, and before he hears a single word, before he knows anyone's name, he's already scanning, and something about you will either spark his interest or it won't. Now, attraction doesn't always mean you're the most beautiful woman in the room, according to the world standards. No, ma'am. What catches a man's eye might be your confidence, the way you laugh, the way you carry yourself. It might be the way you walk into a room like you belong there. It might be the way you smile like you got a secret joy that nobody can take away. That's attraction. That's the spark that makes a man stop in his tracks and say to himself, hold up, who is that? But let me break this down for you, because attraction is only the first step. A man doesn't fall in love just because he's attracted to you. He doesn't give his heart away just because you're beautiful. That's the doorway, not the destination. But without that first spark, without that first jolt of attraction, he's not even stepping into the room to see what else you got. That's why I tell women all the time, don't get frustrated when you hear men talk about looks, because that's how we start. It's not how we finish, but it's how we start. See, men are hunters by nature. We notice the details. You might think he only sees your face or your figure, but nah, it's more than that. He notices the way you sit, the way you talk, the way you look at people when you're listening. That attraction, it builds curiosity. And that's why I always say the way you carry yourself is powerful. You don't have to be dressed in the latest fashion. You don't have to look like you stepped out of a magazine cover. You just have to own who you are. A man can spot confidence across the room, and that's more attractive than any dress money can buy. Now, here's where it gets tricky. Some women think attraction means a man is already serious. No, ma'am. Attraction doesn't equal love. Attraction equals interest. It's the hook. But the fish ain't caught yet. What comes after attraction is curiosity. He wants to know if what he saw matches who you really are. But without that first stage, he doesn't even get to the second. That's why it matters so much. And let me say this too, because a lot of women beat themselves up over this. They think if a man didn't notice me, I must not be attractive. That's not true. Attraction is personal. What one man overlooks, another man will treasure. What one man sees as ordinary, another man will see as extraordinary. So don't ever think you got to change who you are to fit into somebody else's idea of beauty. Be who you are, shine the way you shine, because the man who's meant to see you will see you. He will be drawn to you like a magnet. So when we talk about how men fall in love, stage one will always be attraction. It's the beginning, it's the spark, it's that moment when a man says, something about her just caught me. He don't even know what it is half the time. It might be your eyes, it might be your voice, it might be the way you didn't even notice him when everybody else did. But whatever it is, attraction is what pulls him in. It's what flips the switch in his mind from just another phase to, wait a minute, I need to know more. That's how it begins for us. And without that beginning, the rest of the story never even gets written. Ladies and gentlemen, let me keep it real with you tonight. When it comes to men, attraction is just the start, but curiosity is what makes him stick around. See, a man can be attracted to plenty of women. That ain't hard. He can walk into a grocery store, see somebody fine, walk down the street, see somebody fine, turn on his phone, see somebody fine. Attraction happens fast and easy. But curiosity, that's when it gets serious, because that's when a man starts asking himself, is she different? Is she worth my time? Is she someone I actually want to know, not just look at? That's the stage where he decides whether he's just passing through or he's really about to invest his energy. Now, here's what women need to understand. Curiosity ain't about looks anymore. That part's already checked. Curiosity is about who you are when he looks past the outside. A man wants to know, can she make me laugh? Can she hold a conversation? Does she have something to say, or is she just repeating what everybody else says? A man wants to know, how does she handle herself when life gets messy? Can she keep her cool, or does she fall apart? That's what curiosity makes him search for. He's not just trying to see what you look like in a dress. He's trying to see what you look like when life shows up with a problem. Curiosity is the stage where he tests the waters. Now, don't get me wrong, ladies, I don't mean he's playing games or being fake. What I mean is he's watching. He's paying attention to details. You think he didn't notice how you talked to the waiter? He did. You think he didn't catch how you responded when somebody made a mistake? He did. You think he didn't clock the way you treat people who can't do anything for you? Or he caught that loud and clear. That's curiosity in action. He's looking beyond the surface to see if what caught his eye matches the substance of who you really are. And let me tell you why curiosity is powerful. Because when a man is curious about you, he invests time. Men don't waste time on things they don't care about. If he's calling you, if he's asking questions, if he's remembering little details about what you said, that ain't just him being polite. That's him digging deeper. That's him saying, I need to know more. And ladies, don't underestimate how rare that is. A man won't chase curiosity with just anybody. If you've got his mind working, if you've got him wondering, if you've got him trying to figure you out, you already stand out from the rest. Now, here's the truth. Some women kill curiosity too fast because they put everything on the table right away. You don't got to tell a man your whole life story in the first 2 weeks. You don't got to lay out your 5-year plan, your past heartbreaks, your childhood trauma all at once. Let him earn those layers. Let him work for the answers. Men love mystery, not in the sneaky way, but in a way that keeps them intrigued. Curiosity grows when you reveal yourself little by little, not all at once. It makes him want to stay around to find out what's next. Curiosity is also where a man starts comparing, not in a negative way, but he's asking himself, is she like the others or is she one of one? Because let me tell you something. Every man has met women who are attractive but didn't hold his attention. If you're still on his mind after the first date, if he's still reaching out days later, if he's replaying the things you said in his head, then you've sparked more than attraction. You've sparked curiosity. That's the glue that keeps him from wandering. And here's where it gets even deeper. Curiosity is the stage where he starts showing pieces of himself too. He doesn't do that for everyone. But if he's curious about you, he'll start sharing little things, dropping hints, letting you into parts of his world just to see how you respond. If you respond with interest, with kindness, with understanding, then his curiosity grows stronger. He starts thinking, okay, maybe this ain't just another pretty face. Maybe this is somebody I need to know on a soul level. That's why curiosity is the second stage of how men fall in love. It's what separates a moment from a connection, what separates attraction from potential. It's the part where he starts to really see you, not just look at you. And if you hold his curiosity, that man ain't going nowhere anytime soon. Ladies and gentlemen, if you really want to know when a man starts falling in love for real, you got to look at this stage right here. Attraction might get his eyes. Curiosity might get his attention. But comfort and trust, that's the turning point. That's where it shifts from a man being interested to a man being invested. Because let me tell you, a man can like your looks. He can like your vibe. He can even like spending time with you. But until he feels safe with you, he's not handing over his heart. Safety, comfort, trust, that's what makes him fall. See, a man lives in a world where he has to be tough every single day. He's got to be strong on his job. He's got to carry himself in front of his family. He's got to keep it together when the world is coming at him from all sides. And most men, they don't have a place to just take that armor off. They walk around with it on 24/7. But when he finds a woman who makes him feel like he can finally breathe, like he can finally let that guard down, that's when something changes in him. That's when he starts saying, okay, this feels different. I can be me here. Now, don't get it twisted. Comfort doesn't mean you agreeing with everything he says or letting him do whatever he wants. No, no, no. Comfort is about presence. It's about him knowing that when he sits down with you, he doesn't have to put on a mask. He doesn't have to perform. He doesn't have to prove himself every second. He can just sit, talk, laugh, even be silent, and it still feels good. When a man can sit in silence with a woman and still feel like that silence is full, that's comfort. And trust, that's the real key. Trust is when he knows you're not out here to play him. You're not waiting to throw his words back in his face. You're not keeping score of every little mistake he makes. Trust is when he shares something vulnerable, maybe a fear, maybe a failure, maybe something from his past, and you don't use it against him. You hold it, you protect it. That's when he says she's different. Because believe me, men don't share everything with just anybody. Most of the time, we keep our struggles, our doubts, our insecurities locked up tight. But when he feels safe enough to let you in, that's a sign he's starting to fall. Now, let me tell you something funny. Women sometimes think men fall in love with beauty or with grand gestures, but the truth is a man falls in love when he realizes he can trust you with his truth. That's deeper than anything you can buy or anything you can wear. That's about the soul. When he knows that if the world falls apart, he can come to you and not be judged, not be laughed at, not be told he's weak, but just be heard. That's when his heart starts leaning in. And ladies, you don't even have to do something big to create that comfort. Sometimes it's the little things. Listening without interrupting, checking on him without nagging, believing in his dreams even when they sound crazy, encouraging him when he's tired. Those little moments create a safe place. And trust me, when a man finds a safe place in a woman, he will protect it with everything he's got because that's rare for him. See, comfort and trust are the turning point because they take the relationship from casual to serious. A man can date for fun. He can date for attraction, but he only commits his heart where he feels safe. And once he feels safe, he's not just thinking about today, he's thinking about tomorrow. He's not just showing up for the good times, he's trying to build something that lasts. Comfort and trust flip the switch from I like her to I can't imagine losing her. That's when the love starts growing roots. And once it's rooted, that's when it's real. Ladies and gentlemen, let me break it down to you the way it really is. You want to know when a man locks in, when he truly says to himself, this is my woman and I'm not letting her go, is when he feels respected. See, men might start with attraction. They might stick around out of curiosity. They might even start to open up when there's comfort and trust. But respect is the glue that seals it all. A man cannot love fully where he does not feel valued. And he will not give his whole heart to someone who treats him like he ain't enough. Now, don't confuse respect with worship or submission. That's not what I'm talking about. Respect is simply treating him like a man and not like a project. Respect is acknowledging his effort, even when he doesn't get it perfect. Respect is saying, I see what you're trying to do, and I appreciate it. Because here's the truth. Men move differently when they feel respected. You give a man respect and he'll run through walls for you. You make him feel small, constantly criticize him or belittle what he brings to the table, and he'll shut down, withdraw, and eventually walk away. See, ladies, a man doesn't need you to agree with him all the time. He doesn't need you to say yes to everything he does. What he needs is to know that even when you disagree, you still see him as a man, not as a boy who needs correcting at every step. Respect shows up in tone, in timing, in how you handle conflict. You can be right about something, but if the way you deliver it tears him down, he won't hear the truth. He'll only feel the disrespect. And once a man feels disrespected over and over again, it's almost impossible for him to feel love in that place. But when you respect him, something powerful happens. He feels safe enough to lead, safe enough to dream, safe